Carlo and Brendan here from Games, Brrraaains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial.com for short. It's battle reaction time as it's Brendan's nomination and he's gone to Mosaic, the German one-man powerhouse whose latest album was released around April time, but I'm not even going to attempt to say it, so I'll leave it up to Brendan.
Okay, so the album's called Heimatspuk. I believe it's a German word, but I don't know what it means. But obviously by Mosaic, which is the one-man kind of band project, but with guests. Or has been with guests on across the album. Kind of I don't really, you know what, the thing with one-man projects, like they sometimes it's hard to categorize because it depends on his mood and the album he created. There are albums that are deemed avant-garde, there are albums that are traditional black metal, there are albums that are folk, and specifically what's known as Thuringian folklore, which is a region of Germany and a cultural kind of area, so it's the folklore of that region. So you know, I again got this album sent over to us, checked it out, was like, oh, let's see what this is all about. Could be, you know, sometimes these one-man project stuff can be fucking phenomenal. To be honest with you, they really can. So I was kind of interested in it, and I adore the album. I think it is absolutely mind-blowing, and I adore the album in its entirety. But this one song in particular, Heilstatt, was my favorite of it. You know, when I listened to it, so it's to me a solid mix of like experimental black metal with the folk elements and like traditional cultural kind of elements and everything. I find it a really, really exciting song. I don't know, like on one side of it, I'm like, I kind of feel like you probably, you know, without sounding cocky and confident, that you're probably, you know, when you buy into a song enough, you know, to me, I'm like, well, I could play this there, like, I don't know, someone's great nan, and they're going to understand. Right, they're going to love it. So on one side of it, I'm kind of like, well, of course you're going to fucking adore it. But on the other side of it, that kind of makes you a bit more cautious, doesn't it? You're like, normally I go into things and I try to underplay them, but in this one, I'm doing the opposite.
Yeah, because ultimately you are right. While the makeup and suggesting and descriptive detail of the album suggests that it should be right up my street, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to wow me or capture my imagination. Mosaic, they're not exactly a band I'm not aware of either, although I couldn't like tell you enough about them. Ultimately, Heimatspuk is the latest album that you reviewed, but if you go back to 2019, you'll find Secret Ambrosian Fire. That album written by me, and that same year, only a few months before, an EP called Cloven Fires, all via Eisenwald. Great label, by the way.
Yeah,
Eisenwald. Yeah. So I'm not aware of this. I certainly didn't review it or give it any listens. Yeah, let's crack on and see what I think. In 3, 2, 1, go. Slow starts.
The aggressive German language.
Yeah, it's got a very raw, old school black metal sound. I've got an ad just pop up.
Yep, same. At least we're in sync.
This music sure has a place in life, doesn't it? It really is.
I find it so primal. I love it. Like,
good choice of words, primal. I like that. Ooh, it was losing me, but it's brought it back. Okay then. All right. So I'm going to start with this thing. I don't know if you had this problem or if it is a problem. No, it's not necessarily a problem. Or if you have this thing with this as much as perhaps I do. But atmospheric black metal, German atmospheric black metal already has a champion for me. It's a band called Waldflüster, who I think are the top dog of that specific thing. So naturally, when I hear this, particularly atmospheric black metal and German, I can't help but draw a comparison too. It's not necessarily fair because I do think Mosaic has a different kind of touch to theirs. You use the word primal, I would, tie into that and say raw. It's certainly got a little bit more of more isolated sound that perhaps Waldflüster's grander side of things than else of that. But there's a lot to absolutely love about that. You are right. It ticks so many of the right boxes for me. It's black metal genre I thoroughly enjoy. It's atmospheric, which is something I really, really do. And there's some great moments in it where that atmosphere really bleeds through, particularly when you've got this kind of raw sort of guitar and drum sound, and with vocals that are, it's odd. They're very odd in the sense of how they're recorded. It almost sounds like there's an echo to them, as if this is being done in a clearing in a forest and the vocals are over there while the instruments are here. And while initially I could see why that might be off-putting to some people, I actually really like that because it creates that imagery in my head. And that's the imagery I'm going for, where you have this sort of naturistic, atmospheric, old ancient forest with no trees and ruins that are collapsing, and there's no sun set there because the trees are so thick that it's dark naturally, and aspects like that. That's the image you create. I love that side of things. But what surprised me was around the halfway point of that song, I realized that there was a certain level of emotion to his vocals, and that at times when he was singing, there was almost, I don't want to say desperate quality, but a little bit more like it felt necessary, like he was forcing the words out. And that was really intriguing, like it had to be expelled, like it was an important thing, like it was a chant almost to a certain degree. It started to lose me in the last minute or so when I felt like it probably should have wrapped up. However, I'm actually glad it didn't, because the last section, the last 30 seconds or so, with just a little bit of pace that picks up, and again going back to almost desperate style way of singing, that ending is really, really, really strong. And that's again where I really felt that emotion. It is a very, very good track, and what no doubt I'd imagine, particularly if that's kind of coming near the penultimate side, but kind of jammed in before the second last two. That's quite not necessarily the one that people are picking up on, but obviously you did, hence why you chose it. Yeah, I really, really like it because ultimately
it's a complicated thing, you know, like with this style of music, I think as well. Not always, it depends on the band. You're right, but a lot of this style of music, the albums, whether purposely or not, end up being kind of like concept albums, like either to capture a certain era or type of folklore or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you know, when you try and then pick a song out of an album like this and say, you know, like obviously if you think about like the first time I listened to this album for review purposes, obviously what I'm doing is I'm pressing play at track 1, and by the time I've got to this, I guess I'm completely got it. I understand. I feel it, and it
invested.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's quite difficult, I think, to just pick a track out and go, "Oh, I'll get that one." Do you get it? Do you get it?
Yeah.
But you know, it I guess it's a teaser or a taster or whatever, you know, and it is traditional, but I don't think it's traditional black metal. Like, I think it's not straightforward enough like that. It's traditional atmospheric kind of black metal, yeah, maybe, but not.
When I say traditional in that concept, I tend to mean more that raw 90s Norwegian sound where it's being recorded on a fucking tape deck.
Yeah. And there's lots I love about it. Like, I do think the German language lends itself well to this style of music. I really do. And I love the fact that I can listen to this song and this album and this band, and like you did, even when you said there, get the feeling that there's feeling without even knowing what he's saying. And like, because actually I don't necessarily need to know what you're saying, because, you know, and it is meant to be primal. It is the way that they just, I don't think they use that term, but they describe the album. It's nature, it's forest. You know, that's what it is. It's this Thuringian. I think it might actually be a region that is like there's a massive forest and all that sort of stuff. And that's the era. It's a folklore of the forest. And I feel that when I'm there, I feel like you said, you know, this idea that I don't know, like more like I remember when I listened to it, and like I kind of felt, I think I wrote something along the lines of that. I felt like I stumbled across like a ritual in the woods. Like, do you know what I mean? And this was the ritual, and there was like people in cloaks and shit, like, you know, with burning fire circles on the floor and stuff. And this was what was being sung around it. Like, that's how I kind of felt when I was listening to it. Like I was in the woods listening to raw, primal, traditional, but also natural music. So, you know, to me, like, yeah, I said, like, I think it's a very strong song. I think obviously it's a really talented band, but he's obviously the band, and he's an immensely talented person. I do urge everyone, like, you know, genuinely listen to the album, like, from one end to the other. Like it's quite the experience. you know.
It is. It is. And here's the thing, you are right about the whole, like, in the concept, like in the grander scheme, you get along with the journey and you become a bit more invested. But also, sign of a good track is when it is isolated, taken on its own, I can still thoroughly enjoy it. I did a quick Google of Thuringia, and yes, it is the Free State of Thuringia is a state of Germany, blah, 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 in the central of it. But these notes in particular, it has been known as the Green Heart of Germany from the late 19th century due to its broad, dense forest.
Yeah, and this is the music of the area. Thuringian folklore. There you go.
And I'm not lying to you. I'm not bullshitting you. I did not do that pre this. I had never even heard of this location. So the fact that listening to it, I got that foresty, dense forest vibe, and then find out that that's kind of what it's most well known for is incredible for Mosaic. It shows how it really is very fucking cool. It's a win. Of course it is. It's a great, great song. Enough so that when I leave for work in a short while, I'm probably going to put this album on the way in and just give it a play. Might as well let it play while I'm driving to see what else is there. I think it's the one to do. It's my work drive song. Yeah.
Yep.
You know what to do. Yep. You got any thoughts? Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr. Go to Patreon and help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favor, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror, and heavy metal. What else is life for?